Just doing a quick test. Perfect. All right. Hobby time. Let's get some links shared, and we're going to be working on Rangers and Defenders. Got a tournament on Saturday, and we need to make sure that we are battle ready. They don't have an optional paint for this one. Give me a second. Hang out. Boop, boop. Yeah, there's no optional paint rule for this one where you just don't get victory points. Like this format that we're going to is a mandatory paint. So I got to make sure I do that. And really, I need to make sure they're battle ready anyway. That way, I'm just going back through and doing detail work later. It just saves me work. I just was hoping to not have to kind of cram all this into a week. All right, let's see. General. Boo, 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 boo. Paint modeling. General. Just trying to get this all posted. Rules, leaks, memes, and funds. General. Created content. Here we go. Okay. And let's check here. All right. I think we're ready to rock and roll. Clean up my mess here. I got some, got some Banshees that I got table ready. They're not perfect, but I can at least not lose points because of them. And we'll get the defenders out. We're going to do this for about an hour, and then it's gym time for me. So, gym time is a good time. Cleaning up my mess. I think what we're going to do today, so the defenders, I'm going to be doing a pretty simple scheme on to start with. We're just going to do the Incubi Darkness for the armor, which I think I've already painted those a little bit. And then Wraithbone for everything else, which is pretty cool. The Rangers, I don't know what I'm going to do with yet, so we're going to work on those second because I just haven't quite figured out exactly what we're doing with those boys. I think I want to do some kind of camo scheme for their cloaks, but outside of that, like that's as far as I've gotten. You know what? We might slam some Cabalites with some Incubi also while we're at it, just to get them going. Oh, I missed one Banshee. That's impressive. All right, so she'll need worked on. Boop. And like I said, like this is going to be pretty much just a quick, let's get them table ready. We're not gonna worry about doing like washing and highlighting and stuff because I want to be able to play in this tournament and not have to worry about anything. And I still have Harlequins that I need to paint. Some of these already have the Incubi on them, it looks like. But if I can get these done, I think I'll just have Harlequins in a couple vehicles and I'll be ready. So I think I can pull this off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's all the defenders that I need to work on. Grab that Cabalite. 1, 2, 3. Yep, so we've got all the defenders out. And what else do we need? Got all those defenders. I think we got all the Cabalites. And I got the Rangers, so I think we're kind of ready to rock and roll. So we're just going to start with that Incubi. It's definitely one of my favorite colors that GW makes. This is my default brush holder. All right, do. And because we're just doing this like super quick, we're literally just gonna get the big makeup brush out. And we're just doing everything with a light coat of Incubi right now. And this is pretty watered down, so we're going to need two, I'm sure. And actually, I just went to a tournament over at Fantasy Games in South Bend. Real nice people there. Everybody I played was super friendly. Enjoyed every game I played. Got to play against the Demons Codex for the first time, so that was also pretty cool. It was a learning experience though. I haven't watched any videos with them or anything. I don't tend to watch the battle reports too often. I probably should if we're going to be doing tournaments and stuff more. It's just never been something I do. I try to play against stuff as much as I can. And I understand that not everybody gets to have that luxury, and that's fair. It's where like being able to watch the battle reports and stuff is handy. Um, it's a wild book. Like it is truly just a bizarre and wild book. There's a lot of tricks in it, and it was neat. And the guy that played it, uh, good player, like definitely a good player. Real nice guy too. Enjoyed my game with him. Glad I got to play with him. He definitely beat me. I was running my Ynnari, which we'll kind of talk about in a little bit here. But he definitely beat me, and it was my first time playing against demons, and he knows his book and rules really well, so definitely was all right, this is how this works. So going into it, it's one of those going into it, I don't know if I'll beat it, but I know I'll play it a lot better. I think we did I wasn't painted, obviously. That's why we're painting right now. And so that one did have the bonus paint points. So the final score for him, because he was painted, was 90, and my final score, because I wasn't painted, was 30. So it was effectively 80 to 30, in terms of play points. And a lot of that came from just not understanding how that codex works. And he didn't try to hide anything. Like he was open, he was honest, and he tried to tell me things. And like I said, super super good guy. Was not trying to rely on gotchas. Um, the book itself, I feel like, is pretty well balanced with current codex. What's the word I'm looking for? I think the way the books are right now, I feel like from what I saw, let me rephrase. From what I saw, I feel like it's kind of in line with the already released codexes. It doesn't seem oppressive or overpowered. It does, however, have a couple units in it that are definitely underpointed and need their points adjusted. Flamers. The Flamers definitely need to have their points adjusted. At 25 points a model, their damage output is insane. And then couple that with the fact that it's not an invuln, but it's effectively a 3-up invuln against shooting. So it's one of those where it's bonkers. They move, I don't know, probably, if I had to guess, because I don't remember now, I think they move 10 or 12 inches. They have D6 plus 3 auto hits on their flames. And like they have a strat to max out their hits. So like a 5 model unit's just putting out like 45 auto hits at strength 5 neg 2, and it was just like, I see. So it's pretty bonkers. And then if they're next to the, there's an HQ that gives them +1 strength on their flames. So like strength 6, he was just wounding most of my army on 2s if it was infantry. So it was just like, okay, sure. And I picked some poopy secondary objectives also, like, but I'm still feeling out this army. It was, I think, my 3rd or 4th game with Ynnari. And really, I don't think I've put 9th edition Eldar on the table. I've only played against them. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't play the way I do, so it's not like I know some of the strategies and tactics, but because most people use a lot of shooting or striking scorpions, and I'm not using a lot of shooting or striking scorpions, I have to kind of forge my own path. I don't have a lot of, hey, I saw this person do this and it worked really well. But it was good. I basically learned that Warp Ritual is an auto take for the way I've built my list. And actually, that was a trick I did see and learn. Gentleman at a tournament, Brandon is his name. I think his last name's White. Brandon White sounds right. Also, super good dude. Met him out at Cataclysm in, I think it's like the Illinois-Wisconsin border. And, he basically took, I think it was Psychic Interrogation he took, and I didn't have any kind of wizard in that game. And, he had a warlock, so he could jump up with his Farseer and do his Psychic Interrogation, and then use the warlock to bounce it back after it had done its action. So that is a trick I did learn and enjoyed. Like, it worked really well. But unfortunately, like that game I played against Demons, I think I took the Scry Futures, and I only got 1 objective on it because every other time I did it, I was denied. Which is gonna happen. That's just a dice thing. Like one time I got it off on a 10, and I think he boxcars the deny attempt. So again, like that's gonna happen. Realistically, you can't plan for that. But that was not the objective anyway. I should have probably taken Warp Ritual. I know it only caps at 12, but 12 points is a lot better than 3 points, and I only have to do it 3 times. And I think that's the appeal for me. Like, I'm not worried about getting 15. I'm just trying to, if I can get 12, and then my Farseer can still cast if I want to, and with that strat. So there's still ways to kind of keep your Farseer active and doing things. So yeah, game 1 was against the Demon Book. I'm glad, like I said, that I played it. It was really eye-opening, and I'm glad that the guy I played was just super chill and cool. He definitely knew his stuff. He was definitely a good player. So that was cool. But also just being just a chill dude was nice. Round 2, hit a Necrons player, and I hadn't played any of the Necron stuff after the data slate. I haven't really played much in the way of competitive games in a while, so that was good. Although I didn't know that the guy was new-ish to the game. Like, he didn't communicate that very well, and not that he is obligated to, but it's more just I would have slowed down a little bit because I do have a tendency to play pretty fast. But I do try to let people know, especially if I know that they're new, like, hey, if you need me to slow down, all you gotta do is tell me. And he was just like, no, I know how to play, I know my rules. Okay, all right. So, man, his first shooting phase was pretty rough. Like, I was just like, oh gosh. And then the all your hits just auto wound strat was just like, that's the poopy duty. I don't enjoy that. But fortunately, he wasn't able to kill any of my transports. So he, Like turn 2, I was able to start sending Howling Banshees into him. And then he didn't pick his fall back and shoot command protocol until turn 4. And unfortunately for him, that basically meant he was stuck turn 2 and turn 3. Like I just started piling into him, tagging things. He didn't have a Royal Warden. He didn't have any kind of like fall back and shoot stuff to help him. So it was really just I was able to shut his shooting off, and he didn't have anything to do it or do about it, and that was it. And then, he also, like, once I started hitting him, instead of trying to push forward onto objectives, he started falling back closer to his table edge. We were playing the Scowl Ring, and I was telling him, I was like, hey, man, like, just a suggestion for next games, next time you're playing, use your reanimations to try to get onto objectives. Use your reanimations to try to push forward instead of fall back, you know. He auto passed the leadership, and then I was like, you probably should have rolled it, because if you would have failed, you're not losing the whole unit. Like, he still had like 7 or 8 warriors in it. I said, but then you could have used your failed leadership to remove me from combat, and then you could have just shot me instead of having to fall back and not shoot me. So it's one of those where, I did try to help him out a little bit, but like, if he would have just told me, hey man, I'm pretty new to the game, I would have been happy to help him out a little bit more. But all in all, he was a nice kid. I could definitely feel the frustration as the game went on, though. Like he was never like mean or rude, but you could definitely see like he was just getting frustrated. And unfortunately, I think he dropped after our game, which is a shame. It's always bad when people will just drop. Like new players especially, like they get disheartened. They don't like losing all the time, and it's hard to explain to them that, when it comes to 40K, you're just going to lose a lot until you don't. That's just kind of how the game works. Let's see, round 3, I hit Nidzilla. It was a Leviathan Nidzilla list, so it was like, God, I think he had 3 or 4 Carnifexes, a Swarm Lord, a Hive Tyrant. What else? A Tyrannifex. So before the tournament, I was looking at some stuff, and that was one of the lists where I was like, that one could give me some fits. Like, I don't know that I have enough tools to deal with that. That one could be rough. Actually, the 2 armies that I was looking at and I thought these could be rough, I ended up playing, because one of them was the Demons one, and I knew that one would be rough because, like I said, I just haven't played against it yet. And it was, dude had Be'lakor. What else? Just was it Be'lakor, Kairos, Scarbrand, like 30 or 40 bloodletters, and then flamers, and that was like his whole list. And it was just like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to contend with this. And this is the same thing with the Nids list. Like, I was looking at his list, and I was like, man, that's a lot of big stuff. And I do have Bright Lances, but I don't know that I have enough. And both of them have multiple wizards, so I don't know that I can just win the wizard battle either. We played, what was the mission? I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Secure Missing Artifacts, so it's the one where you got to move objectives pre-game. And I was able to move 2 of them, because I moved first, and then he moved 2, and then I moved last. And the 2 that I moved, I basically was able to position them so that I had shooting lanes into every objective. And that's honestly, I think that's what won the game, was basically I was able to make him come to me. I didn't score a lot in primaries, but I capped my secondaries. And I just made him come to me because I was like, I cannot contend with this. I cannot overpower this list. So like my first shooting phase, and he was, and I got, interestingly, I got the same reaction like every game I played. Everybody was just like, Ynnari? Oh, I don't think I've ever seen this on the table. You know, like, oh, I've played Craft World, but I don't know anything about Ynnari. And I'm like, well, it's just Craft World. It's just they could take a little bit of everything. Um, so I dropped them in the Incarn, but we'll get the Incarn later. Dropped everything on the table, and like I said, like my turn one, I jumped my Hornets up. I did roll 2 4s and 2 5s for my Strands of Fate dice, so I already knew what I was doing going into my first turn, regardless of who went first. Jumped my Hornets up, and immediately was like, all right, I need 2 neg 4s on your Tyrannifex, please. And he was just like, oh no, you know. So I ended up putting like 10, 12 damage on the Tyrannifex turn one because I rolled really good. I actually had to re-roll one of my damage dice, but I rolled really well going into that. I'm just trying to track down one of my paintbrushes. But I rolled really well going into that, so this one will work. That was good. So that thing was crippled right out the gate, and it slowed down the rest of his army, which really I needed. Like, there was so much stuff that it was kind of clogged behind it for a while. I don't know why I just put that there. And I was able to just kind of dance up to it and hit it, and then it was hitting on 5s, I think, at that point. Maybe it was 4s, but a lot of my stuff, I can either make it -1 to hit, or I have some things that are inherently -1 to hit. Like the Hornets are inherently -1 to hit into shooting. So like it didn't do a ton after that because it was just like, cool, man, have fun hitting me on 5s and 6s the whole game. I will pretty much leave this alone for a bit. And that worked. And I killed one of his Zoanthropes. Again, rolled really well, but I also shot 2 scatter lasers into him, so it was 12 shots. So it's not like I had to 100% hit and wound, but I did do pretty well with that die roll. And then couple that with the fact that he didn't do so well on his saves. And so I ended up killing one Zoanthrope. He had a unit of 3. And actually, that was good because he kind of got timid with them after that, and I didn't even have to worry about them. You know, as soon as he saw what kind of volume, because basically everything that could take it had a Bright Lance and a Scatter Laser. So he was really timid about popping those things out, knowing that I could just shoot them off the table, and I'd have the volume of fire to just kind of force enough 5 or 4-up saves that it wouldn't matter. Like, it just, you can't make them all, you know. So that was cool. I didn't have to deal with those. He took Psychic Interrogation, and actually every time he cast it, he got it, but like rolled really poorly. And I think I denied it for the 5 turns, and then he failed it 1 turn. Or no, he got it 1 turn. That's what it was. He got it 1 turn. I denied it 3 turns, and then he failed it 1 turn. With I think he got a dub 1 perils, but so, and like I said, like he killed me on primaries, which is not usually how I play, but I'm still learning this elf army. These probably don't need. We probably don't want Wraithbone on the Cabalites. I don't want them to look just like the defenders, or I'm gonna not know which is which. All right. But yeah, no, I just tried to use my better mobility because that was like some of the first questions I asked him. All right, what advance and charges do you have? Okay, you have a spell that can do it, but that's it. You know what's the movement on all this stuff? So like my first shooting phase, I knocked one Carnifex down to like 2 wounds, and then knocked his Tyrannifex down. And then all he could do was push up. That's it. I used my Fire and Fade strat so I could take my Hornets back and not leave them out so that he couldn't charge them. I mean, he dumped some shots into him. He had the Shard Gullet, and I think he did 5 damage to one. So that's a thing. So he did do some damage in his first turn, but not a ton. And it was a lot of, oh, I just need to get to you. So he did a lot of advancing, which he should have. Like, that is the right play. My Wraith Lords, just sending Bright Lance and Scatter Laser at everything they could see. And then, like, honestly, had that game gone one more turn, I would have lost for sure, just because, like, he did eventually get to me. My Howling Banshees did work. I think they just obliterated one Carnifex because it was just like, 6-up saves, and it's all 1 damage. Let's see how many of these you can make, homie. So, and then in that one, I did take Warp Ritual, and I remember turn 1, I put the wings on my Farseer, so I flew him up 12 inches, jumped it on the middle objective, did the Psychic action, actually spent 1 CP to cast an action, threw a Smite, did like, I don't know, 2 or 3 mortal wounds to, I think it was a unit of warriors, I don't know, something of his. And then my Warlock, well, we'll have to touch that up, that's okay. My Warlock casted Quicken, and then I just moved it back, and he just kind of looked at me and was like, oh, I see. This is how this is gonna go. And I was like, yeah, this is it. I can't beat you in close combat, so I'm gonna have to beat you in the movement phase. And he was like, yeah, that's fair. And I did. Like, that's really what did it, was I was just more mobile and I could position and outmaneuver and perform him. The Incarn was my MVP. That thing is awesome. I love it. If you're playing Ynnari and you're not taking the Incarn, I'd like to see what you are taking, because that thing is just phenomenal. It doesn't even have to do anything in a game, and it can change a game. And that's not a joke. Like, just the threat of that thing being able to teleport anywhere on the battlefield the way it can will drastically change the way your enemy or your opponent plays, knowing that they can have this massive killer unit in their face turn 1. Or turn 2, just at any point in time, makes them adjust how they are attacking and shooting and doing everything else. And I'm only getting better with it, My first couple games, I was like, oh, this is super cool. This is really fun. And those were, gosh, one was like a couple weeks ago with John, obviously. And then I played a couple. I should not have painted him all that color. That's all right. I played a couple on Friday before the tournament, and those went pretty well. And then the tournament came around, and man, even that Demons game, that dude, like I said, like, knew his stuff, and he ended up winning. So I mean, my one loss came to the person who won the tournament, so I can't complain there. But he was just like, man, that Incarn is bonkers, and you really know how to handle it. So that was cool. There we go. And let's see, the second game, the Necron player, Again, I mean, I got to bounce it around. I got to kind of do what I wanted with it. So I was fine there. But again, like that one I kind of take with a grain of salt because I didn't realize that kid was as new as he was. And then the third game against the Nids, like that dude just had no answer. He did not know what to do with it. He was just like, I am not sure what I can do to work around this. Now he ended up killing it, but it cost him a lot to do so. And I think it died every game, but I think it was like turn 5, which is whatever. It did what it needed to do, you know. It altered the course of every game, you know. Without it, I don't think I even scored 30 points. The Demons game. Man, I am slopping this on. I'm gonna have to touch this up later. Oh well. But yeah, no, it definitely altered the course of every game, and knowing how to position it is super important. Because man, I think there was one game I played. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Might have been Matt. Or who did I play after Matt? Kyle. Kyle. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is when I played Kyle. I got a little too aggressive with it, and then I picked it up super early, actually. But no, like I said, at the tournament, like that thing, MVP. I can't imagine running this army without it, honestly. And not because it's like it kills stuff, but it's not so scary that you can't contend with it, but it's scary enough that you always have to account for it. And then, like I said, just knowing that you can bounce it all over the table, it's it'll make people kind of slow down and really think. And if they don't slow down, it'll allow you to kind of get the drop on them, you know. Like then a good example is like the Nids player. Because everything fights first, he has to pick and choose his battles very carefully. You know, he's a very melee centric army. Well, my Incarn got into combat, killed some stuff, and then it consolidated into something else, and it was just like, oh. And he ended up, or no, it was just kind of left flapping, like with nowhere to go. And so like that was a thing, and that's fine. Like because I kind of knew he was gonna have to shoot at one of my other units, and if he didn't shoot at him, they were gonna get to shoot back. Like it's a win for me. So he either had to shoot and or charge my defenders and Kabalites that were holding an objective, and if he didn't, because the Tyrannofex or whatever it was, something only had a handful of wounds. But if he didn't shoot, whatever it was getting killed. So he had to shoot something off the table. And it was on the other side of the table of where the Incarn was. So it was just like, all right, cool. It was charging. He had to charge it. So he charges. He kills my warrior or defenders. And then I'm able to teleport my Incarn before anything can happen. So he doesn't even get the charge off. So like if he'd have picked a different order of charging, I mean it wouldn't have mattered. But basically, and I'm not remembering everything exactly, so it's not going to make a ton of sense. Basically, he just kind of fudged his ordering, and I knew he would because he kind of had to. If he didn't do it the other way, things would have went like I'd have lost the Incarn, but then he would have lost. I think it was actually his Hive Tyrant, but whatever it was, you know, he would have traded the Incarn for the Hive Tyrant, and my Incarn at that point only had a couple wounds left, so it was a worth to me. I took Bring It Down against him. I think I scored 12 out of the possible 15, so that was good. Scored 12 on Warp Ritual because he just didn't get to interact with me on that. Any of my Psychic Test Strands of Fate dice just got used for the action so that he couldn't really deny it easily. And let's see, what else? I'm trying to remember what the third one I took was. I don't remember what my third objective was on that game. It's the one I scored the least on, but I still did well on it. Banners. I took banners, mostly because I knew I was going to be sitting on my side of the table for a while. So I think it was 8 points total in banners. So it wasn't a great scoring game, but knowing that I had to, I did just do that again. I guess this is what we're doing today. Have my palette over here, and I just put it right there. It wasn't a great scoring game, but I was able to get, I think, 35 in primaries. I think my final score was like 70 points, somewhere in there, without paint. And then his was like 60 with paint. So, I don't know. I know it was like a 20-point game, 10-point game after you count paint. I just don't remember what the final numbers were. I think 67, actually. That's what it was. 67-55. That sounds right. So it was a close game, and he did a good job. And he wasn't, when I say frustrated, I don't mean he was like angry or mean, but he was just like not sure how to handle all of the mobility that I had and being able to just kind of outposition him and keep throwing my Meltas at him. Because I like, he had the shard gullet, and I was like, yeah, whatever, dude. That thing's going to do what it's going to do. I don't care. Like, I might make whatever you're shooting at neg 1 to hit. We'll see. Because the first time he shot the Hornets, and it makes sense. Like, those things they're good. For their points, they're good. But, he rolled 3 dice. He hit twice, which is his statistical average because he was hitting on threes. Hit twice. And I think he ended up wounding once. And I think, so I took 5 damage turn 1. And that was it. Like, I think he killed 1 the next turn, and then that's what he killed. He had to kill my Hornets, I remember now. I had 1 Hornet left, and he either killed that Hornet or he had to deal with that thing still flying around, spraying, one more Bright Lance and 1 more Scatter Laser all over the board. And when he did that, that's what allowed me to teleport my Incarn out of his charging area. I remember now. So yeah, he sent the Shard Gullet at it and was just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. I was like, cool. And then I teleported, and he was just like, oh, shit. So it's like I said, it's one of those where she didn't even have to interact with the game. Hey, what's up, Dan? 9:45 is good. We like to get started around 10, 10:30. 10's ideal. And then, like I said, we just have to be done no later than 2:30ish because I go get my daughter from school, and I don't want to be late for that. Coming to the stream. Awesome. Just talking about the tournament we went to on Saturday. While I smash through some defenders. They're a little sloppy. They'll need some touch-ups, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and grab this and put it where it belongs. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and honestly, we've never even like come close. Like, I think 2 is the latest we've been doing it. And that's, the game was already over. We were just doing like an after action review, which I'll kind of talk to you about. Actually, I mean, if you're here right now, I'll just talk to you about it now. I had some people kind of say, hey, you're doing great work. Here's some things that we think could help make it better, or that we'd like to see. And one of them was just like some sort of after action review. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I went 2-1. Alex won second place, undefeated. Yeah, because the Demons guy got first. Alex and the Demons guy were both undefeated, but Alex got second because of points. I had fun. It was weird. Like, everybody was super nice. I had a good time. The terrain was a little rough. The guy that was running it is a really nice guy, but there just seems to be like a certain level of apathy there where he's just like, I don't care. Like I think he's just doing it for fun, which is fine. But the issue I had, and I've got to reach out to him this week. I did want to talk to him, but I wanted to give it a couple days. Uh, the issue I have is that he's charging for these events now, and if we're charging for events, there's a certain level of professionalism that's I think should be expected. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm gonna talk to Alex and Tyler and see if any of them want to play. If not, I'll play. It's because we just take turns, you know. Last time I played though, so if Tyler wants to jump in and go, that's fine. Because I don't think he's played on stream yet, but he may want to wait till next week because I think Austin is playing next week. So he was, I think, wanting to play Austin, who's a I don't know if you've met him, but he's a buddy of ours, Eldar player, super nice guy. I think we're gonna do purple for the accents on the cab lights. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Bloody Rose is good. Argent Shroud would be good too. And yeah, you don't have to worry about like being nervous or anything. Like I know it's a stream, and I don't know how you feel about it. But generally speaking, like we're all just having fun. Like we're not just being degenerates the whole time. I wish I knew where my other brushes went. There they are. There's that one. You know, like if we're being honest, if you play any of us, you're probably going to. Yeah, yep, that would be correct. And like I said, if you play any of us, like you're probably going to get a tournament list, but not because we're trying to be degenerates, but because we are going on Saturday down to Indy, and we are playing in a team tournament event in Indy, and we just need to make sure we're getting our reps in. Yeah, I think Austin ended up playing you. That is correct. I'm trying, man. That's the goal is to be a professional degenerate. You got it. Uh, that's got to be the goal. Being a professional 40K degenerate. We'll see. We'll see if I can get there. Also, while I'm on live stream, I did decide that once we hit 50 followers on Twitch, I will be giving away one combat patrol of the winner's choice. I'll randomly select from my followers, and whoever wins will get their choice of a combat patrol. It's probably going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get it delivered to that person just because shipping issues. Like, who knows where everything's going to be by then, if we're being honest. And then also, like, I have to order it, and because I'm giving choice. So, yeah, let your friends know, hey, this dude's trying to give stuff away. Come follow him on Twitch. Because ultimately, if I can stream more games in a week, I will. That's the goal. Like, absolutely. I was torn between doing my GW terrain. I did finally get that. I got to build that, uh, or doing these, and I realized that these needed painted by Saturday, and the GW stuff I can get whenever, and they're paying me to build it, so it's not a big rush. Like, it's all good. All right. These guys have a lot of bits. This is not going to be fun. That's fair. That's fair. Uh, but this will go on YouTube too, so hopefully, I've got quite a few subscribers there now. Not a ton, but like we're up to 60, I think. So if I can get all the YouTubers that watch this, let them know, hey, come check this out on Twitch. This dude's giving away stuff. You know, it's all about just making sure I can grow. I don't need help with the GW terrain, I don't think, but I do have a bunch of other terrain I'm probably going to need help with. Because I've got to get probably another 5 tables worth of terrain done before October 22nd, because I want to be able to show up to that 2K tournament and not use Brandon's terrain. Or if I do use Brandon's terrain, it's as little as possible. And there's nothing wrong with his terrain. It's just I'm trying to establish um, like a certain layouts and a standard, so that way everybody knows what to expect when they come to my events. Fortunately, like a lot of you guys have come to my events, so you already know what to expect. Like, you know, the terrain is generally going to be good. You know, it's going to be well run and organized. And that's like, honestly, that was the thing, like, I was always super nervous about. Like, I always get nervous right before events that I'm running, because I'm like, oh gosh, what if this goes wrong? What if this goes wrong? What if people aren't having fun? But man, like I've been to tournaments outside of my store, and I'm just blown away at the lack of organization and like the lack of effort put in by the tournament organizer, and people are still like having fun and playing, and I'm like, yeah, all right. So I'm doing okay, you know. I've got a I've got like months to get this terrain built though, so at least the GW stuff. And if I don't have to ship it out, I'll have terrain that I can throw on tables for the tournament if I need to. I just trying to not do that unless I have to. Already got you with some purple. All right. We got probably about another 10 minutes, and then I think we're gonna wrap up for the day so I can get to the gym. Didn't go this morning, got to sleep in. So, all right. I think we'll just go back with a smaller brush and start touching up these little dudes with the incubi, and then I'll just need to kind of paint their bases, and they should be all right for the event. I might need to do like some other stuff on them, and that's fine. And I appreciate that. And honestly, like, I don't know what you played at Adepticon, but there were parts of that that felt like they weren't super well organized, also. Um, and I'm not saying I could have done that better, because that's a huge event, you know. So I'm in no way detracting from the effort that those folks put into it. I'm just saying, like, that one felt like it probably could have been organized better. But then I've also been to a Games Workshop event and seen how those are organized as well. So who knows? Maybe they can't be once you get that big. You know, like I ran kill team tables for Games Workshop already, and while I was running kill team tables, I was also running other tables. So again, like, I don't know, maybe once you start hitting a certain size, they just don't lend well to that level of structure and organization that I try to bring to my events. Hopefully, I can get back up to GT sized events, and I'll be able to find out. Oh, yeah, yeah, that dude needed. There we go. Fix him up. Love this color so much. And like I said, like the dude that ran the event on Saturday was super nice and just a very cordial and inviting TO. It's just like his attitude was kind of like, whatever, it's a game, like whatever, you know. Like there was no list cutoffs, no list due dates. It was like 5 minutes before the event. Nice. And that's fair. And even when I did the kill team table, like everything went smoothly. There was only one error, and that was actually like BCP glitched. That wasn't anything that GW or I had done, but BCP had thrown a glitch and screwed everything up. But I got that fixed super quick. Um, you know, but like I said, like it was just weird because it was just like, his attitude was just like, it's a game, whatever. They're just playing a game. Who cares? And I get it. He's right. It is a game, but at the same time, when you are charging people to play, there's just like, to me, there's certain expectations that need to be met. I can't, in good faith, take your money to come play and have that kind of attitude. Like, yeah, whatever. So, like I said, I am going to talk to him about it. And my biggest, so the terrain was poopy. And that's, again, he's working with what he has, so I'm not going to begrudge him that. Because, like, the fantasy has a lot of terrain that they can use, but none of it lends itself well for competitive play. So that is what it is. He's just doing the best he can with what he's got. But the list submission thing really kind of, that's what kind of ground my gears, chapped my ass, so to speak. Because there was no deadline. Like the deadline was 5 minutes before the event. So like I'm used to, at least the night before. So I submitted my list the night before. Well, they're all visible. So when I get there the next day, one of the players who didn't submit a list, like you can look, her list isn't even viewable in BCP now because it never got submitted. And she got to play and no victory point penalty or anything. And she literally was like, "Oh, I was gonna play this, but then I was looking through everybody's lists and decided that this would be better." And it was like, man, that's pretty shitty. Like that's allowed. And I mean, she didn't win, so it's not a big deal. But there was also like a lot of, and I did notice this, like she had a lot of double standards. Like there was an odd number, so she played a first round bye and just got an automatic win for free points. And then second round, the bye ended up playing a ringer. So it's like, okay, sure, but that second round bye should have also got the automatic win, even if he played the ringer. Like that ringer score shouldn't have mattered. He should have just gotten the win, gotten whatever the bye points were, and then that would have been it. Like that's how that should have worked. But because she got the bye, like I don't know. And my understanding is there's a personal relationship between her and the TO, which to me would account for that kind of favoritism. So nice, good deal. Like will I go back to playing an event there? I don't know, probably not, unless it's like I haven't played in a while and I need to roll dice. But the good news is like a lot of those guys really liked us also. So a lot of them were wanting to come out like to some of the events that we run in Chesterton, and it was just like, hell yeah, dude. So growing that community again. Yeah, and like I said, it's one of those where some of the things I can forgive because I've been in that position, like the bad terrain. Like I've been in that position, I can forgive it. It was just the attitude that I didn't necessarily like. Like the, oh, it doesn't matter, blah 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 blah. And then like he had two people drop after round 2, which isn't cool. Like why drop? You've already made it through 2 rounds. One guy only lost one game. Like one guy was 1-1 and dropped. The other guy was 0-2. Like, if you're gonna drop, I guess I understand the 0-2 guy dropping, but my understanding is that the one guy who was 1-1, every time he loses, he just goes home right after that. So it's like you gotta start not letting people show up, man, because that's more stress on you as a TO. If you know you've got players who are just like dropping as soon as they lose a game, you've got to just be like, no, I can't. I can't let you play because you are making my life harder. I think we need the bigger brush. Oh, we got a new viewer. Welcome to the channel. Who that is? Let's see. Refresh chat. That's not what I wanted, but that'll work. Oh, I'm kind of rinsing this brush out. All right. But yeah, no, it's one of those where, like I said, I don't know that I would go back out there for a game. Right, and that's it, man. It's like it wasn't a lot, but I paid $15 to come and play 3 games. I'm gonna play 3 games. You know, like there's only one, and really it's a specific person, but there's only one person in the whole world that would make me just like not play with them. And that's because I've played with them once and had such a negative experience that if I ever have to play him at an event, I will walk up to that TO and just let him know I am not playing this dude. You can either swap me out with a different player, I don't care, or I'll take the loss because I'm not playing him. Like it was that negative of an experience. Um, like it was so negative that at the end of the game he knocked one of his models off the table and it shattered, and literally everybody was laughing at him because of what an ass he was throughout the whole match. So it's one of those where that's probably the only instance I would just be like, nah, I'm not playing you. So we're gonna wrap up. I gotta get to the gym. So you guys have fun, and we will see you on Thursday for stream. I've not played Lance before, but I'll keep that in mind, buddy. I'll talk to you Thursday.